Warning: the Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern. and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome here as we get ready for the longest race of the season. This is the endurance race, the Coca-Cola 600 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Coming off the heels of the All-Star race weekend. There were no points on the line in that one, but certainly purse to be gained and a lot of momentum heading here into the second half of the regular season. The part of the season I like to call the chase towards the chase for the championship. 13 races remain in which drivers will try and lock themselves into this season's playoffs, whether it be through victory lane or through consistency, maybe getting in via points. But we've already so far this season in the first 13 races had 12 different drivers go to victory lane. So by effect, if those 12 drivers represent the top 30 in the point standings, that leaves only 4 spots available for drivers to point their way in, and I think it's pretty much a guarantee we're going to have more than 4 different race winners during the course of the second half of the regular season. So putting even more emphasis on going to victory lane, getting that victory, getting that playoff position. Now, one driver that really, at this point in time, all he's got to focus on is points, is the guy who lines up on the pole position here today. As a matter of fact, it's kind of opposite, kind of interesting. We've got polar opposites of maybe the 2 most consistent drivers in the last 2 or 3 weeks. One starting up at the very front, one starting at the very back. Destin Boland, the only 2-time winner on the year. He got his first career win back at the Dodge Motordrome, and then last time out for a points-paying race at Chicagoland leading into All-Star Race Weekend, picked up his second victory of the season, second victory of his career. Let's not forget, Destin, I believe at one time was dead last in the point stands, either he was dead last or somewhere around 40th, 41st. He was down in the cellar of the point standings regardless. And now, after those 2 victories, he now enters into this second half of the regular season 26th in points. He's above the cut line, which means that right now, if the playoffs were to begin, he would be in the number 1 seed. Alongside of him is going to be Jose Mills. Jose Mills, the most winning driver in the Duracell Cup Series, but he's still looking for his first victory on the year. 3 top 10s, no top 5s, and no trips to victory lane makes him 20th in the points coming to this one. But again, like I said, with that All-Star race break, it's an opportunity for drivers that have done well to try and figure out how to keep that consistency going. It's for drivers that struggle during the first half of the regular season to figure out, what adjustments can we make to get a little bit better and make ourselves playoff eligible. So keep an eye on that 38 here today. That team always seems to rise to the occasion during the second half of the regular season, whether it be Jose Mills driving it now or back in the day Jordan Lopez, who ended up putting the 38 in the championship battle and eventually walked away with the championship trophy. Speaking of champion, we've got another former champion lined up on the inside of row 2. That is Chris Dollerton. Dollerton, the Daytona 500 winner this year, 30th in the point standings. Right now, he is playoff eligible, but he is right there on the cut line. You got to be above 30th in the points for your win to count towards a playoff position, and he's got good starting track position here today. He'll be alongside of rookie Quentin Moore. Quentin had a decent run back at Chicagoland, gained 5 spots in the standings, but he's 35th in points. He's only about 13 points behind the cut line, 30th in the standings, but certainly would like to get Joanna Outwood Motorsports their second win of the season and first of his Duracell Duracell Cup Series career. Now, one driver that I want us to keep an eye on here today as well, I mentioned that there are two very consistent drivers coming into this race. Bolin, who starts at the very front, is one of them. The guy who is starting shotgun in the field has to be the other, and that is Charles Sanford. Finished runner-up in that last points-paying race at Chicagoland to Destin Bolin. He ended up locking himself into the All-Star race in the All-Star Open via the first stage, and then went on to win that All-Star race. Now, granted, he's starting very deep in the field here today, but it is a long 120-lap event, so plenty of time to be able to work his way to the front, and certainly looked like Charles Sanford proved he's got a very good long-run car. Remember, when he transferred into the All-Star race via the Open, he started back, I believe, was in the 19th position, and was able to work his way to the front in 60 laps time in that one. So, double the field size and double the race length. It certainly is possible for him here today. Sanford comes into this race 14th in the current point standings, so keep your eyes on that 0-3 during the course of today, because I think that he may be one of the strongest cars in the field. But you know what? It's a long race, a lot of time that we're going to be spending together, so let's not waste any more time. Let's go down trackside for pre-race ceremonies, get those most famous words in motorsports.
Is this on? Drivers, start your engines.
Command given. Field going to roll off behind the Toyota TRD pace car, and you'll see on the right side of your screen today's starting lineup. Also, as promised, since we are now into the second half of the regular season, you will see the current playoff standings coming into this race. You've currently got 10 drivers that are holding positions via victories. Destin Bolin, of course, the top seed with his 2 wins, and then 6 drivers currently are inside of the top 16 as far as the playoffs via points. Those drivers right now are no lower than 9th in points. Matt Haas, Michael Norman, Nathan Norman, James Qualls, and Ali Lear, as well as Levi McIntyre, who is one of, I believe, 3 defending winners coming into this race from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. McIntyre won in Season 3, Benjamin Miles won here in Season 2, and Mitchell Collins, the most recent winner, back in Season 4. William Brock was the inaugural winner, and Diego Yepes was the defending winner, not in the field here, but the car, the team that he ended up winning for is in the field, the 78, being driven by Ryan Butcher. Well, here we go. 120 laps here at this D-shaped mile-and-a-half racetrack. Longest race of the season, the Coke 600, the last of the crown jewel races here in Season 6 of the Duracell Cup Series, is underway as through the restart zone, Destin Bolin takes the green flag. Just want to make note, you saw on that playoff grid, 10 drivers currently in via wins. We've had 12 drivers here during the course of the first half of the regular season. Daniel Voiles and Joshua Osborne are winners from North Wilkesboro and Pocono, respectively. They are outside the top 30 in points. They need to get back in for their wins to count towards a spot in the playoffs. As Chris Dallerton, who started 3rd, he's going to move by Destin Bolin, and he will lead the first lap of the day. Voiles is 36th in points, Osborne 38th in the standings. Neither one of them are any more than 16 points behind the cut line, so both could move back into the top 30 if they have a good run here today. Chris Dallerton leading a train. A couple of Chevrolets, Anthony McCurry also in the plant, and then the 22, the Ford of Michael Norman, now going to the inside for the 3rd position as Destin Bolin, I believe he did brush the wall off of turn 4. You see him still up there on that outside line, and now free-falling outside of the top 5, maybe outside the top 10 by the time we get through 3 and 4 this next time. A number of these drivers had the benefit of running in either the All-Star Open or both the Open and the All-Star race, getting some data. Those that took part in the All-Star race will certainly have a little bit more intel in the fact that they ran, well, most of them, there were a couple of DNFs, but most of them ran what will be half the distance of today's race, 60 laps in total in that All-Star race last week. Carson Gum getting kicked up to the outside line. He had worked his way up to 6th, but now Reggie Fogelman gets by him to move into the top 5. Daniel Voiles will look to move up into 6th. We mentioned the fact that he and Osborne both looking for good runs today to get back in the top 30. Osborne was behind him, and now you see he's faded back in front of, I think that's 09 of Kyle Matthews. Up at the front, Michael Norman on the move. Takes a look to the inside of Anthony McCurry, but not able to drive it in deep there into turn 3. That outside line, the middle line, especially through 3 and 4, works very well. Plant slipped up. Now his rookie teammate Reggie Fogelman to the inside of him to take 4th, and McCurry and Norman will battle it for 2nd. Looks like McCurry going to have to give way as he got a little loose up there on the top side of turn 2. Chris Dollerton, his win in the Daytona 500, the only top 5 he's scored so far this season. He has 2 other top 10s besides that victory, but an average finishing position of around 24th for the Daytona 500 winner. Boy, Fogelman sent it in there, and he might pay the price. He went up, I think, a couple grooves higher than he wanted to. That opened the door for Matt Haas. We're going to follow that battle for 3rd in a moment, because I think we might have a battle for the lead. Teammates. Michael Norman all over the back bumper of Chris Dollerton. Remember, Michael is the only driver out of his team, Michael Norman Motorsports, that hasn't won yet. Rick Johnson, Mitchell Collins, and Chris Dollerton have all found victory lane. They did it relatively quickly, too. Dollerton at Daytona, Collins the following week at Manassas, and then Rick Johnson at another D-shaped mile and a half, the Texas Motor Speedway. You got M&M right now 1st and 2nd. Then you've got Fortnite Squad Racing in 3rd and 4th. McCurry's gotten back to the bottom. He's in 3rd, and teammate Carson Gum, the former champ, right now in 4th. There's the points leader Matt Haas in 5th, and he's got his teammate right behind him. So you've got teammates, teammates, teammates inside the top 6. And now Carson Gum going to go to the inside of McCurry. He'll move into the 3rd spot. As far as manufacturers winning here, 2 for Chevrolet, 2 for Ford, 1 for Toyota. As a matter of fact, the 2 wins apiece for Chevy and Ford took place in back-to-back seasons. Chevy in seasons 1 and 2, Ford in 3 and 4. And the battle for the lead is on. Looking for our 2nd lead change of the day. Chris Dollerton led the first lap onwards up to this point, getting the lead from pole sitter Destin Bolin. Bolin did not lead a lap despite starting on the pole, and now Michael Norman will be the 2nd driver to lead a lap, but the 3rd driver out in front. Carson Gum running a lower line here through the front straightaway. He's definitely showing the nose all the way from turn 4 to turn 1, and he had the very shallow entry into turn 1, but made it stick. He'll go to the race lead. Whoa! Was there contact there? I couldn't tell. Carson certainly went up the track. Noah Hendrickson was to his inside. I don't know if Carson didn't know the 80 was there, and that kind of like shot up to the high line was him in reaction to that, or if the 80 did get him in the left rear. That was a bit of a scary moment. So we had a little bit of an obstruction there into turn 3, so it was really hard to tell if there was contact or not. They keep the fenders on it, keep it going, everybody's good to go. Boy, if there was a wreck up at the front of the field, we might have something similar to that pileup we had at Dodge Motordrome, and where was that other track where we had the huge pileup at? Trying to recall where it was. My mind's telling me North Wilkesboro, but I know that's wrong. Is it Darlington? Might have been Darlington. Daniel Boyles now up into the 2nd position. Destin Bolin right there behind him, so the Fords making their way back up here to the front. Drop back a little further, but noticing a couple of drivers that are just inside of the top 10. The 2 of Dylan Young and the 25 of Benjamin Miles. Miles, of course, a former winner here from Season 2, but Dylan Young had a good run at his, we'll say air quotes, home track, the Chicagoland Speedway, a couple of weeks ago. Moved up 8 spots in the standings to 27th. He was 35th in points prior to that race. So was certainly struggling the first half of the regular season, and Benjamin Miles is going to lose a couple of spots right there. He comes into this race dead last in points. He's the only driver now that is searching for his first top 10 on the year. I mentioned that the second half of the regular season is an opportunity for drivers that did not do all that well in the first 13 races to mount a comeback and put themselves in the conversation for a playoff spot. So keep an eye on that 25 as he's right now in P11. How about one of the defending champs coming into this race? Kyle Matthews. Currently in a playoff position as he is a former winner from the Coke Zero Super Speedway, but we talked about the kind of precipice that Chris Dollerton is in, being on that cut line, 30th in points. Kyle Matthews not that much better. He's right now 29th in points on our scoring. However, he and Chris Dollerton have the same amount of points accumulated, so they're theoretically tied for 29th or 30th, tied for that cut line spot. So a couple of former champs kind of on the razor's edge there, and would like to put some cushion between themselves and that cut line. As you saw, Daniel Voiles tried the inside line there through 1 and 2, and Carson Gum was able to keep him at bay. We saw this in the All-Star Open and the All-Star Race. This Charlotte Motor Speedway, very multi-groove. It is not entirely friendly to the inside line, as most mile-and-a-halves are. So we will see as drivers go into the long runs and the tires wear down that drivers will be venturing up and down the racetrack, trying to find grip, trying to find speed. I heard an idling engine up ahead, and I just saw that was the, I believe, Wheaties Chevrolet of Cole Deaver, who made an unscheduled pit stop, I'm being told. Oh, Voiles got the wall there in the 26. Not certain what the case was for the driver out of S3 Motorsports, but he has fallen a lap down, and he's in danger of losing another lap. Also, I'm hearing an unscheduled stop for Nathan Ormond in the 34. Not certain what this is about. And Charles Sanford is way back behind the pack right now. Our All-Star Race winner. I'm trying to look and see if there's any damage on his car. I don't know if there was something that happened towards the middle or rear of the field that all three of these drivers had an issue with or not. If there was, our NNSCRA split cam will certainly document it all, but that's 3 drivers right there not getting this second half of the regular season started the way they wanted to. And I said Charles Sanford I thought was going to be one of the drivers to watch, but right now he's one of the drivers to watch and see if he can stay on the lead lap. He's certainly hoping for a caution because he is running about 16 seconds behind the race leader, almost half a lap down. Kyle Matthews just got the wall there, and see drivers take evasive maneuvers. That was Norman, Evans, and Moore that all went to the grass to make sure the 09 did not come back down to their path. Oh, gosh. 22 and the 89 down on the apron. That stacks everybody up from about 8th place on back. I think they all made it through, though, as Dylan Young has taken the race lead in the Wawa Ford Mustang. So Deaver is 1 lap down. Nathan Ormond's now 2 laps down. He's returned back to the track. Nathan Ormond had that big hit during All-Star Race weekend. Took a big shot into the outside wall. So Charlotte Motor Speedway has not been kind to him so far this season, as Benjamin Miles showed the nose on rookie Noah Hendrickson. Nothing doing there. We do know, based off of the All-Star Race, the fuel window for these guys, well, I guess the All-Star Open kind of showed it to us as well, because we went green flag from start to finish in that one. So we'll be seeing drivers on pit lane maybe within the next 7 to 10 laps. And Deaver's about to go a 2nd lap down. This will be the first time that the leaders will have to deal with lap traffic. We'll see what Dylan Young's going to be able to do when he encounters the 08. Lord Chung has now moved up into the 6th position. Chung qualified into the All-Star race via the Open, finished as the winner of the 3rd stage of the Open, if I recall correctly. Yeah, it was Sanford, Bishop, then Chung, and Haas that were the 4 transferees. Carson Gum looking for 2nd on Miles, and boy, Carson's been able to really hook that bottom. As he might clear Miles off of turn 4, and he will, and he's going to again take that kind of shorter way down the front straightaway and get right alongside of Dylan Young. At 19, gets a great run off the inside line in turn 4 onto the front stretch. We saw him make that move earlier to get the race lead from, I think it was Michael Norman at the time, and now he does it on Dylan Young. Kyle Matthews on pit road in the 09. This seems a little bit early, but remember, we saw him pound the wall off of turn 4. Oh, and we got a caution. Caution is out for the first time today here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Oh, we got some skid marks there up in 1 and 2. This is going to save Charles Sanford. He'll remain on the lead lap. Oh, and it looks like we got a couple of drivers that were in this one. So William Howard looked like he had damage. Mitchell Collins, Cody Lamas, Nathan Ormond, former winner at this racetrack. Levi McIntyre, actually Collins the former winner too. There's Ryan Brommer on pit lane. And the 38 of Jose Mills. This caution coming out just a lap too late, I believe, for Kyle Matthews. I think he's going to fall a lap down. And now pit road is open, and the rest of the field will come to pit lane. Was this the start of green flag pit stops, or was it something more sinister? I think with the skid marks being over in 1 and 2, that would be the answer, that no, it had nothing to do with green flag pit stops, but not rightly certain what it was. I also saw the 74 of Benjamin Snyder stayed out. He was on the lead lap in 20th, so this might be just an opportunity to get a bonus point and lead a lap for him. We ran 25 laps, I believe, there under green. So no doubt everybody's going to get tires and fuel. Oh, I saw some damage there on the front end of the Spider-Man Chevrolet of Dylan Poteet, so I believe he might have been involved. As Carson Gum is going to win the battle off pit road. Dylan Young, Benjamin Miles, Laura Chung, and then maybe that number 1 pit stall is going to get Destin Bolin out in 5th over Anthony McCrory. We saw the 34 of Nathan Ormond leave ahead of these guys, but he is off the lead lap. And we've already got a couple of drivers that have come down pit road and made the left-hand turn to the garage. They include Levi McIntyre and Ryan Brommer. So what happens over in 1 and 2? We've got about 7-8 drivers that we see sporting damage from the incident, and oh, I think we need to go back off of turn 4, to be honest, to try and figure this one out. Following the 31 of Dylan Poteet. Someone gets the wall up here. I don't know who it is, and they were 4 wide. Poteet was in the grass. Then I think Poteet comes back up off the apron, yeah. Gets Zachary Fitzwater, Cody Lamas, there's Will Howard, there's Jose Mills. And then here comes oncoming traffic. Nowhere to go for McIntyre, Collins, Samuel Ryder, or Nathan Ormond. I believe that was Ormond in the 34. Wow, we had a second group back there and they just never slowed. Did someone get the wall? Now, I think that either someone got the wall or when Kyle Matthews had his unscheduled pit stop. There's something. Oh, it was Rob Evans. Rob Evans in 65 got the wall. You'll see right here. Oh, he pounded that wall. And then everybody scatters. And they were 4 wide through the tri-oval. Poteet didn't have a lane to come back up. Right there, slides up into Qualls and Fitzwater. And then watch this hit that's going to take place right here. Bam! Boy, Ormond might have gotten through, I'm not sure. But McIntyre, Collins, and Brommer certainly did not. So we had almost, I'd say that's about almost a dozen drivers that got bits and pieces of that one. As the caution waves for the first time here today in the Coke 600. Benjamin Snyder did stay out, did lead a lap, and came to pit road. So bonus point there for the rookie out of Lake Effect Autosport. And we've got the 1 to green signal. Kyle Matthews will be on the tail end of the lead lap since he was behind the pace car but ahead of the leaders when that caution came out and after the pit stops were completed. He'll be in the 35th position. Cole Deaver will be one of 2 drivers off the lead lap. He's 1 lap down, and Nathan Ormond is 3 laps down. Carson Gum will be the leader when we go back to green over Dylan Young, Benjamin Miles, Laura Chung, Destin Bolin. That's your top 5. Anthony McCurry, Reggie Fogelman, Noah Hendrickson, Michael Norman, and Jack Dunnard. That's going to be the top 10. Got 5 drivers that will not reach the conclusion of this race. They include outside pole sitter Jose Mills, Cody Lamas, Ryan Brommer, and former winners of the Coke 600, Levi McIntyre and Mitchell Collins. They will finish 38th through 42nd here today. Driver that's going to hurt the most in points would be Levi McIntyre, especially due to the fact Levi came into this race in a playoff position. He was in the 15th seed, 5th highest driver in the point standings without a victory, 7th in overall points. Green flag set to come back out here as we are almost a quarter of the way through this race. First caution of the day. We were about 5 laps away from green flag pit stop, so this is going to maybe change things up just a tad in terms of the strategy of when you're going to want to come to pit road if we get under another long green flag run, and we're not going to because the caution is back out. Not sure what's going on there, but that's going to help Kyle Matthews and Cole Deaver if they stay ahead of Dylan Young here back to the start-finish line. And I think they're going to, just like that. 2 S3 Motorsports cars are going to be back on the lead lap with that yellow flag coming out. That saved them. Dylan Young going to lead us back to the second yellow, and I'm not certain all of what happened there. Why the caution came out. I'm trying to look and see if there was maybe something that happened on the restart. Oh, Benjamin Snyder's on pit road. Something happened with the 74 there coming to the green. Remember, he stayed out that extra lap to get a bonus point, then came to pit road. And it's looking like a couple of drivers, Chris Dollerton, Austin LaPlante, Samuel Ryder, as well as the aforementioned Benjamin Snyder might have had something to do with this second yellow coming out. See if we can find out what that is, although we'll do that in a minute because looks like they're going to come back down pit lane here. They had all just been on pit road, but they're all going to come back down, and boy, what a difference a couple of laps make, right? Charles Sanford was about a little more than half a lap down, caught the first caution to stay on the lead lap, and then this caution coming out immediately after we went back green puts Cole Deaver and Kyle Matthews back on the lead lap. So all 4 of the S3 Motorsports cars back in the lead lap, as there you see Dollerton and LaPlante on pit road. Just had some contact on pit lane there. I don't know if you guys saw it, top of your screen. Will Hoer got into Benjamin Miles, and we got some varying strategies here. Some with gas only, some with 2, some with 4. That just got Rick Johnson out as the race leader. No, it was not. It was Reggie Fogelman, actually. We also had a couple of drivers, well, one driver that stayed out that was on the lead lap, Michael Norman, although they're scoring Norman 34th on the tail end of the lead lap. I think he might have been involved in whatever the stack-up was. And there's front-end damage on the Mobil 1 Chevrolet of Reggie Fogelman. Now let's go back and see if we can find out all of what happened here. We no sooner had the flagman waving the green, he immediately had to switch hands and throw the yellow. Yeah, Michael was involved in this as well. Oh, actually, Michael was the reason for the caution. It's like Michael had, I don't know what the issue was. This is back in 3 and 4 as they were coming to the green. Watch how he darts down to the inside there. Something obviously was amiss, and he realized it. And when we go back green, you're going to see here that he comes to a stop on the front straightaway, and that's why the race officials had to throw the yellow. There you see it. So the caution was out at this point when he comes to a stop right there. There you see the caution lights on. So what happens up here to drivers like Dollerton and LaPlante? Let's follow them back to the start-finish line. Ooh, that's what happened. Keith Batson there as well. Our Darlington winner got a piece in the 39. And, oh, there comes Ryder. And there comes Snyder. Boy, it's the second wreck we've had where there's been a second group. And they've just flown in. With some pretty good damage there on the front and right side. The Motorcraft Ford of Keith Batson. 11th in overall standings, I believe the 6th seed right now in the current playoff standings. Batson is going to continue. He's just returned to the track. They've taken the hood off of that car, but at least he is still running. Michael Norman's back on the racetrack there in the 22 after we saw him come to a stop on the front straightaway. Still no indication of what it was that happened there. Could have been an electrical. I don't think it would have been a fuel issue. But obviously it wasn't anything to do with the engine because it's still running. He will be restarting ahead of race leader Reggie Fogelman, much like Kyle Matthews did on the last restart. So Michael is the last car on the lead lap in 30 seconds. And 4 more drivers out of the race after what we just saw. Pretty much the 4 that took the big hits there. LaPlante, Chris Dollerton, Samuel Ryder, and Benjamin Snyder. They'll join Jose Mills, Cody Lamas, Levi McIntyre, Mitchell Collins, and Ryan Brommer in the garage area. That brings our DNF total up to 9. 33 drivers will be running. 32 on the lead lap. Ormond 3 laps down, just continuing to pick up spots with the DNFs that have accumulated. As Fogelman will be the leader, Rick Johnson second, Carson Gum in third, Laura Chung, Noah Hendrickson. Those rookies will complete the top 5. Then it's Destin Boland in 6th, Anthony McCurry 7th, Benjamin Miles 8th. Jack Dunnard and RJ Bishop makes his first appearance inside the top 10. Saw Kyle Matthews and Cole Deaver get their laps back. Kyle will restart 25th. Cole will restart in 30th here. As Reggie Fogelman's Mobile One Chevrolet out of Northeast Motorsports looking for that team's first win on the season, that organization's first win on the season. Will take the green. There'll be a bit of a wall in front of him there with Norman in the 22, clearly the faster car, so Fogelman will follow him by the slower 34. Rick Johnson does the same. Laura Chung also. Carson Gum's going to be the one stuck behind the 34, and he'll try and migrate him up to the top side now down the back straightaway, right in front of teammate Anthony McCurry. Field's going to get itself pretty spread out there with drivers trying to migrate their way around the slower machine of Nathan Ormond. Everyone in that top line is going to get freight trained and have to take their turn migrating down to the bottom. So Anthony, who was 7th last time by, will probably be back outside the top 25 by the time he eventually puts the 34 in his rearview mirror. Speaking of rearview mirror, Michael Norman's got one full of Reggie Fogelman, who's trying to put the 22 off the lead lap. Michael right now appears to be the faster race car, and I think that would be in part to that pretty visible damage there on the front end of that Chevrolet Camaro of Reggie Fogelman. Not certain where that came from. Might have been from contact on pit road. While it may not seem like much, The draft is very prevalent at a track like Charlotte, and aerodynamics very important, and I think that 24 might be lacking in straightaway speed right now, and there you see he's going to pay the price. Laura Chung's going to look to the inside. Just saw the 16 of Ali Liera on pit lane. That's obviously unscheduled for her. Will Hoer in the 83 is very slow. There's the 16 coming back off pit road. Liera's going to fall a lap down. Will Hoer is a lap down. Not certain if he came to pit lane under that this green flag run or not. Fogelman's going to look back to the inside on Laura Chung. As these drivers up here in the top 3 continue to battle, that's bringing 4th place on back closer in. We saw this in the All-Star race where, much unlike the super speedways, where you have a bigger pack of cars unable to run down a smaller pack of cars, here at Charlotte you got a bigger pack of cars and they reel you in very, very fast. Said the draft is very prevalent here, and you're going to see why. Noah Hendrickson and company, they were about a second and a half behind the top 3. And this time by, they are less than a second back. He gained a ton of time as Jack Dunnard's going to move ahead of Noah Hendrickson, the Phoenix winner. Actually, I mentioned, I think I said for Reggie Fogelman, he was looking for the organization's first win of the season. That would have been incorrect, because Dunnard's Phoenix win was the first win for Northeast Motorsports this season. So my error on that is, oh my gosh, they caught that 83 of Will Hoer, second in points in a very bad area. That Hershey's Ford is obviously very much so off the pace, and Michael Norman was able to get by him pretty well there into turn 1. He continues to keep the race leaders at bay. He's hoping and praying for a caution to come out so that way he can get back on the lead lap and restart at the tail end. And Dunnard's on the move in the 88. Looking for his first lap lead of the day. And he might be clear. Nope, not quite. Chung was able to get back to the throttle on the top side, and now the Toyota alliances down the back straightaway will keep her out in front, at least for the time being. Another slow car. It's Nathan Orman in the 34. And I feel like this is going to be a running tail the entirety of this race. Trying to figure out where the 34 and the 83 are to be able to get around them quickly and safely. They're going to be the proverbial moving chicanes here in this one. Look who's moved up into the top 5. Caleb Vogler. Vogler had the fastest lap set in both the All-Star Open and the All-Star race, and he is now up inside the top 5 for the first time today. One half of the defending champions of the series. Vogler is 34th in points coming into this one, though. So he needs a lot of things to go his way if he's going to try and defend his title here in Season 6. Michael Norman has now been put a lap down. He gave a valiant effort trying to stay ahead of the leaders on the tail end lead lap, and he may not be done. He may be able to battle his way back up here again, but for now he is going to be one of now 4 drivers, 1 lap down. Ali Liera is -1, Will Hoer is -2, and Nathan Ormond is -4. It's like about a straightaway before we'd get to the 83 of Will Hoer again. RJ Bishop in the 98 is right now the first driver outside of the playoffs. We showed you that playoff grid. He would have been the 17th driver. 12th in overall points, still looking for his first win. Trying to get Young Motorsports their 3rd win on the season. As there's the driver that has the other 2. Destin Boland started on the pole. Destin's still looking for his first lap lead too, remember. He started on the pole and Chris Dollerton got him to complete lap 1. Right now following in the tire tracks of Carson Gum, who'll move into 2nd and now tries to get by the lap machine of Michael Norman. Look at the 08 of Cole Deaver. Deaver ended up catching that quick yellow. The second caution of the day was ahead of the race leader, then Dylan Young, coming back to the start-finish line. And now, he's up in the 7th position, battling with Joshua Osborne. That's quite a comeback there for Cole Deaver. As Osborne almost got the wall there. I think Michael Norman did get the wall in the 22. Saw RJ Bishop and Caleb Vogler get by him relatively easy. There's the car that went to victory lane here 1 year ago. Well, the number and the manufacturer, really, because remember last year we didn't run the next-gen cars. This is the first year for that. And it was the number 78 Toyota out of Auto Junction Racing. Diego Yepes was doing the driving duties. Ryan Butcher behind the wheel here today. And right now, he, along with Laura Chung, have really been the only two up here anywhere close to the front. Ryan Brommer didn't really get out of the gate as he's already out of the race in 42nd, involved in the first caution of the day. Out for the lead. Carson Gum to the inside of Jack Dunnard. Carson's loved that inside line here on the front straightaway, but that time looked like he had to lift a little bit off of turn 4. And he'll have to tuck into the 2nd spot. That was not Will Hoer I saw up ahead of these leaders. That's actually the 16 of Ali Liera, who's 1 lap down and now in danger of going a 2nd lap down. Remember, Ali comes into this race in the final playoff position via points. And so this is not the run she was looking for today. I was also noticing a couple of other drivers. Nathan Ormond, he was the number 13 seed, I believe, 3rd highest in points without a victory as, oh boy, Nathan Ormond, that was a bad place for them to catch the 34, and Jack Donner's going to pay the price. Carson Gum's going to run away. Both lines getting held up behind the 34 car here into turn 3. But with that 34 of Ormond continuing to fall multiple laps down, he's going to drop probably outside the top 5 in overall standings. Will Hoer is off the pace, and he was 2nd in points. He was the number 2 seed. Highest driver in the point standings with a victory. It's the 31 of Dylan Poteet. No front, no back on the Spider-Man Chevrolet. He's about to go a lap down to his teammate here. Poteet in 29th. Looks like a few drivers have gotten past Nathan Ormond. 5 in total there. Bolin, Bishop, Reese Banks, Ryan Butcher, and Anthony McCrae. How about Reese Banks? Great run there for the 44. The rookie out of Lake Effect Autosport. Domino's Pizza Ford Mustang. Reese is 39th in points. He is the lowest rookie in the point standings. This is a great run that he's having right now, inside of the top 5. As Gum put Dylan Poteet in the rearview mirror and has done the same with Ali Liera. So puts Liera 2 laps down, Poteet 1 lap down. Next drivers he would encounter have damage. As far as a running order, that is, that would be Zachary Fitzwater and Keith Batson, but they are right now about a third of a track ahead of the race leader Carson Gum. So they, at this current time, they're not in danger of going the lap down, but if this thing continues under green flag, they probably will fall off the lead lap. And this is why I say for position, because Will Hoer, it's like he would be the next car that Carson Gum would actually catch, and Will is already 2 laps down. Destin Bolin, Anthony McCurry, RJ Bishop trying to reel in Carson Gum. Let's see if this time they make up any progress. Last time by, the entire group was a 10th quicker than the 19. And despite battling, let's see about this time. It was about a 2nd from Carson back to Destin. As Carson's in the wall, all the way through 1 and 2, was trying to get by the 83 of Will Hoer, and he will do so, but he literally rode the wall to do so. That last time by, that second group gained a 10th. Now, though, they are going to get held up behind the 16 and the 83. They'll look to make quick work of the lap traffic here down the front straightaway. Let's check the right side of that 19 car going into 1. Looks like he's okay. Doesn't look like any visible damage. It was a brush, but I don't know what put him up into the wall. I don't know if the 83 forced him up there when he got to him or what. Somehow he made it work. I think the 16 is up to speed. Not certain what the unscheduled pit stop was for Oliveira back during the start of this last run. It doesn't really look like it's anything that's hindering her staying with these top runners. And just like that, Carson Gumb's been reeled in, and we've got about a 6-driver battle for the lead back to rookie Reese Banks. We've also potentially got green flag pit stops on the horizon here. Not exactly sure when they would be. Maybe in the next 5 to 10 laps? What about that group further back? Well, there's not much of a group. They're all kind of single cars there. Jack Dunnard in 7th, Caleb Vogler in 8th, Kyle Matthews 9th, and Rob Evans right now in the 10th position. They just recently made their way around the 83 of Will Hoer. And they got to get themselves lined up, and then they'll have a shot of catching this group. Well, as soon as I say that, though, here's the green flag pit stops we were anticipating. James Qualls already on pit lane. Of the leaders, Ryan Butcher's going to be the first one in. Rob Evans, Dylan Young going to follow. Joshua Osborne, Quentin Moore, Laura Chung, Fogelman, Hendrickson, Miles, Turner, Haas, and Sanford. Oh, car in the wall! Anthony McCrory. I think he might have gotten into Nathan Ormond. Is the caution out for that? No, it is not. We stay green. As Carson Gumb is on pit lane along with Bishop, Banks, Destin Bolin. 61 to McCrory with that damage on the right front. They may spend extra time on pit road, and Bishop gets into Jesse Turner, who's leaving his stall. That's going to be a lengthier stay for the 98. Daniel Boyle's in, and I don't think anybody else stayed out of that group. So, this may cycle back around to Carson Gumb, but remember the 78 of Ryan Butcher was the first one onto pit lane, so let's see if maybe on the fresher tires with his outlap, if maybe he's going to cycle out to the point. Nathan Norman in the 38 has now gone to the garage area, so that will be one less moving chicane for the drivers to have to worry about. He'll finish in 33rd, Will Ormond. Follow up on the 61 of Anthony McCrory. See where he cycles out. He was going to be inside the top 5, probably in 2nd or 3rd. Butcher's going to get RJ Bishop, and he'll have good momentum trying to catch Carson Gumb. I think this is right here, your battle for the race lead once everything cycles around. Chevy, Toyota, Ford, Gumb, Butcher, Bishop. Yeah, and Carson crossed the line as the race leader. So, yep, this is your battle for the race lead right now. Wait for scoring to update here. There's McCrory coming off pit lane. He is going to fall a lap down. They did have to do some damage repair on his Chevrolet, and he's going to take the inside line, which helps his teammate Carson Gumb to swing around and put some daylight between himself and Ryan Butcher. Ryan's not going to be all that thrilled with that move. Looks like that 61 is off the pace. They certainly had to spend some extra time, I would think, clearing the right front tire to be able to change it, as Anthony, I think, ended up getting into the slower machine of Nathan Ormond at the time. That's a tough break there. Anthony was en route to having a good run today. Really needed it too. 37th in overall points. And Carson's gonna, oh, I was gonna say he's gonna have to deal with the 83 of Will Hoer before he can do that. Got to make sure he doesn't hit the wall off of 4, and that opens the door. Ryan Butcher is going to go on by. RJ Bishop will move to 2nd, and Carson Gumb's now kind of walled in. 39 of Keith Batson and the 83 of Will Hoer. He'll get by the 83, and then he'll concentrate on the 39 down here in 3 and 4. So Ryan Butcher out in front, looking to put the 78 in victory lane for the second straight year here in the Coke 600, as we have now crossed the halfway threshold. Now, since we're halfway, we've just gone through a round of green flag pit stops. Let's take you through the field. Ryan Butcher right now the race leader. Ryan came into this race in the 28th position in points. Still looking for his first win on the year. RJ Bishop cycles to second, the highest running Ford. He's, of course, still looking for the first win of his career. Carson Gum, we saw his difficulty with the traffic after getting into the wall. He's now fallen back to the 3rd position. Carson's led the most laps so far today, 26 in total. And Caleb Fogler is right now in the 4th spot. Co-defending champion along with Kyle Matthews, highest that Caleb has run today. Speaking of Kyle, he's in that 5th position now, just got around Rob Evans to take it. Great run there for a driver who at one point was a lap down in the early going. Rob Evans in the 6th position. Don't forget, Rob Evans actually ended up getting into the wall pretty good off of turn 4 that led to the 4 wide, eventually that had Dylan Poteet on the apron of turn 1 and led to the second, or actually, was it the second caution of the day or the first caution of the day? I think it was the first caution of the day. So good comeback for him. 7th place is under contest. Noah Hendrickson, he's been in the top 10 pretty much all day, as has Reese Banks. And Dylan Young in the 2 car right now in the 9th spot. Now move him to 8th as he gets by the 44. Jack Dunnard currently holding down the top 10. So that is 1, 2, 3 rookies right now inside of the top 10. Banks, Dunnard, and Hendrickson. Cole Deaver in the 11th spot. We already documented the comeback for him. Much like Kyle Matthews, catching a lucky yellow to get back in the lead lap. Joshua Osborne, talked about him needing to get back in the top 30 in points for his Pocono win to count towards a playoff spot. Right now he is in a good battle with Nick Gunther for 12th. Gunther's going to take that spot and move Osborne back to 13th. Nick Gunther, our Sonoma winner. Nick is 6th in overall points as well. He's currently in the number 3 seed for the playoffs, and it's been a good year so far for that Mazda project out of Fortnite Squad Racing. He's about to make his way up here, maybe into the top 10 as 14th place, Laura Chung, the Toyota Camry. And Destin Bolin, our pole sitter, back in the 15th position. 16th place is where we find Jessica Shelton. Jessica's been quietly moving her way up through the point stand. She is the highest S3 Motorsports car in the overall points. One would think Charles Sanford would be, but no, he's 14th in points. Jess is 13th in points. Gained 2 spots after Chicagoland a couple of weeks ago. 17th place right now is Rick Johnson. Thought we'd see a little bit more out of this 93 today, since his first career victory took place back at another D-shaped mile and a half, Texas Motor Speedway, but different track, maybe different conditions. Still inside the top 20 though. 18th place is where we find James Qualls, 5th in overall points. And the points leader right behind him in 19th, Matt Haas in the number 8 car. Saw Matt Haas had a strong running, getting the final race in transfer spot, winning the 4th and final stage of the All-Star Open to participate in the All-Star race. And there's Jesse Turner completing the top 20 in that U.S. Air Force Ford Mustang. Jesse's just below the cut line, 2 points outside of the cut line. 31st in standings coming into this race. Quentin Moore in 21st, Reggie Fogelman in 22nd, Benjamin Miles all the way back in 23rd, Charles Samper in 24th, and 25th is Daniel Voiles. He is the last car on the lead lap right now, so Osborne doing what he needs to do to try and get above the cut line. Voiles not as lucky, as right now he is about 5 seconds away from getting put a lap down. And the battle for the lead continues to be hot and heavy between Kyle Matthews, Ryan Butcher, Carson Gum, RJ Bishop. Dylan Young's now made his way up into the top 5. Every single one of these drivers, with the exception of Kyle Matthews, looking for their first win on the season. For RJ Bishop, he's looking for the first win of his career. You got to go back to Nick Gunther, who last time crossed in 7th, for your next former winner, and then a couple spots further back to Jack Dunnard, our winner from Phoenix. Inside of your top 10, you've got 3 former winners, 7 drivers looking for their first checkered flag on the season. I also mentioned at the top of the race that this is the final Crown Jewel race of the year. We kind of had them all near the beginning of the season. The Daytona 500 that Dollarton won, the Darlington race that Keith Batson won, and the Indianapolis race that Zachary Fitzwater took the checkered flag in. This is the final opportunity for a driver to get a Crown Jewel checkered flag here in Season 6. As Matthews continues to show the way, he'll cross the line for his 3rd lap led. Carson Gumbs led the most laps so far today, 26. 8 laps led for both Ryan Butcher and Jack Dunnard and Reggie Fogelman. 7 laps led by Dylan Young. 3 laps led by Kyle Matthews just then and Laura Chung. Chris Dollarton led 9 laps in the early going, but he is out of the race. And then 1 lap led apiece for RJ Bishop, Michael Norman, and Benjamin Snyder. Snyder is also in the garage area. You see Anthony McCurry go a 2nd lap down to the leaders. And he's going to be a bit of a hindrance there for 3rd place on back. Daniel Voiles next on the hit list for race leader Kyle Matthews. Charles Sanford, the All-Star race winner. You got to think that there was some data, some intel, some information that was passed on throughout that entire S3 Motorsports organization, and so no surprise to see an S3 Motorsports car out in front. In Kyle Matthews, Nick Gunther is going to take the 3rd spot on Dylan Young. I think Nick might have one of the best long-run cars right now. Nick was, what, 8th, 9th when the pit stop cycles completed, so the field was definitely spread out, and he has been able to reel drivers in and put them away very easily. Let's see what he does with the Toyota of Ryan Butcher. Slow car of Dylan Poteet up ahead, as well as the 26 of Daniel Boyles on the tail end lead lap, and Nick, oh, we got the 2 out of, smoking. The engine is gone on Dylan Young, and he's going to get hit from behind by his teammate, and there we go. Deaver, Evans, Hendrickson around on the back straightaway, and they're going to get hit even more. Chung is involved. Carson Gum is involved. And they're still wrecking further back. Shelton just got RJ Bishop. Caution is out for the 3rd time today. And it's a big wreck on the back straightaway after Dylan Young blows an engine over in 1 and 2. And that's a lot of our front runners. Carson Gum, his car is destroyed. It's a sea of smoke on pit lane. Shelton and Young. Osborne's on pit road. Bishop's on pit road. Hendrickson, Chung, William Hoer. Cole Deaver is up in the top 10. Had gotten back in the lead lap. I'm not sure if Benjamin Miles is... I think he was involved. Sanford's on pit lane. I don't know if this is from drivers coming to pit road with it being open or not. Daniel Voiles, and the 26 was in it. Yeah, pit road was not open, so anybody on pit road that we just saw, that would have been necessary for them to come down and make repairs. Oh, Caleb Fogler going to get into Charles Sanford and pin him up against the pit wall back there. Well, it's kind of one of those that never rains but it pours situations. And I think after all that, I think either Kyle Matthews or Nick Gunther, I think it was Kyle Matthews, ended up getting the race lead coming back to the line. Yeah, it was Matthews, Gunther, Bishop, Evans, and Fogler they're showing. And Osborne, or make that Chung's going to win the battle off pit road. Osborne 2nd, then Gunther, then Matthews. And then it looks like Rick Johnson. Well, because of what we just saw with a lot of your front runners involved, the landscape of the top 10 is certainly going to change, and Laura Chung appears to be the one that will bring us back to green. Let's take a look at what happened This all started with a mechanical failure on the 2 of Dylan Young, who was running inside the top 5 at the time. I believe he was running in 5th place. Watch here. Right there. Starts to slow. RJ Bishop's trying to find a way by. He's probably in the oil, unable to change directions, and then the track just gets blocked in the back straightaway. Well, Laura Chung took a pretty good shot there to Noah Hendrickson, so she may be leading, but oh man, there you see right there, Shelton, the whole left front fender got ripped off when she got into RJ Bishop. But Chung took a pretty good shot there in the front, the right, and the left of that Toyota Camry. Oh, actually, Laura Chung's not the leader. She was on pit road coming to the caution. So I had Chung scored as the race leader. She would be on the tail end of the lead lap, so that is my error. Let's take another look here. Watch how the 98, there's nothing he can do. He's running in the same line as the 2, and I think he ended up getting into the oil, and he couldn't slow. He gets into the back of Dylan Young, and then watch this. Deaver, Evans, Hendrickson. There's Chung. There's Carson Gum. There's Destin Bolin. And Joshua Osborne. And right there, oh, Shelton almost had it missed. Oh, look out. About 4 cars right there, splitting up the middle. Oh, and then, oh, wait a minute, hold on. We gotta take a look. Another car ended up getting involved. Reggie Fogelman, the 24. Right here. Gonna get into RJ Bishop. Oh, man. And then Will Howard gets a piece of it. Wow. Oh, and then Daniel Voiles in the 26. The wreck just kept going. That's why Voiles was smoking. See if we got any time for an onboard, just to show how quickly things happen, and there's very little opportunity to avoid it. See if we can go on board with our pole sitter in the 12 car, Destin Boland. He was quite a ways back behind this. Zachary Fitzwater just gets through. Wow, it's all Rick Johnson, Ali Liera up there on the top side. I don't think they even lifted, and they somehow got through it. Now the garage area is full now. We got a lot of wounded soldiers out there still also. Race leader is going to be, I think, Nick Gunther. But it's going to be a wall in front of him because you've got Benjamin Miles and Joshua Osborne, who are on the tail end of the lead lap, starting up there on the top side. And then you've got a bunch of drivers a lap down or more on the inside line. Poteet, Liera, McCrory, Norman, Batson, and Chung, as well as Zachary Fitzwater. We'll update on the drivers out of the race here in just a moment. Nick Gunther's going to be the leader. Kyle Matthews second. Rick Johnson, Reese Banks, and Caleb Vogler's the top 5. Matt Haas, Jack Dunner, James Qualls, Ryan Butcher, and Destin Boland. That's now your top 10 as we have 15 drivers on the lead lap left to run this thing out, and we've still got a little less than 40 laps remaining. Kyle Matthews, with the help of the slower car holding up Nick Gunther. He will go back to the point. Drivers out of the race after everything we just saw there from turn 2 over to the exit of turn 4 include Carson Gum, Dylan Young, Daniel Voiles, Reggie Fogelman, RJ Bishop, Cole Deaver, Noah Hendrickson, Jessica Shelton, and William Howard. We've got nearly half our field in the infield right now. Kyle Matthews, Reese Banks duking it out for the race lead as lead lap cars back there are going to have to make their way through quite a bit of traffic. Charles Sanford has now moved. No, he has not moved into third. Who's third? believe it might be the 65 of Rob Evans. Now into third place. No, it's Quentin Moore. Does Quentin have a top 5 yet this year? Yes, he has one, which I think he got last week. So, or well, not last week, but 2 weeks ago at Chicagoland. So he'd be looking for back-to-back top 5s here. Rob Evans is now into the 4th spot, and Jesse Turner's now in 5th. Turner was 20th after the last cycle of green flag pit stops, and now he's up inside the top 5. James Qualls is up to 6th. Actually, I think he's 7th. So how about that for Qualls? 5th in points. He's looking for his first top 5 on the year. This caution gave a big opportunity to a number of drivers that were probably all but out of it. As Kyle Matthews is pulled away from the 44 of Reese Banks. He's gotten by Benjamin Miles. He'll now get by Ali Liera. So Miles will fall a lap down. That'll leave us 13 drivers on the lead lap. Miles, Fitzwater, Batson, Norman, Chung, Osborne, all 1 lap down. 2 laps down for Liera, Poteet, McCrory, and Sanford. 23 drivers still running. And I believe, based off the numbers when we went back green, at least 1 more pit stop in the future for every single one of these drivers. Let's drop back here to a potential battle for second. Reese Banks, Quentin Moore, Rob Evans, and Jesse Turner in this mix, fighting around the lap machine of Zachary Fitzwater. Benjamin Miles, although he is the first car 1 lap down, he is in the 14th position, so even if you don't finish on the same lap as the leader, you may leave with a pretty decent result and a pretty good points day, as Quentin Moore will look to the inside on Reese Banks, a couple of rookies for the runner-up spot. Veteran Jesse Turner trying to figure out which lane he wants to take. James Qualls, Nick Gunther, Matt Haas back there trying to catch up as they want to fight inside the top 5 as well. Still 2 lap machines up ahead that second place on back will have to deal with before they can focus on taking the race lead from Kyle Matthews. Kyle's got a chance here to be able to get the most laps led bonus point from Carson Gum. This time by already, it's 30 laps to go. Kyle has led 13 laps, and that's half of what Carson Gum led, 26 laps. So if Kyle leads the next 14 circuits, then he will have led the most laps here today. Kyle trying to join Destin Bolin as the only multi-time winners on the season. Destin would, of course, have done his a lot sooner than Kyle Matthews. It's been about 4 weeks, I think. Oh, 3 wide there with Joshua Osborne as Ali Liera and Kyle Matthews split the 27. That was close. Here comes Turner now into second. But Kyle's win at Coke Zero Super Speedway would be his second win in, I believe, 6 or 7 weeks. Rob Evans moved into third, swinging around the outside, following Jesse Turner. Quentin Moore was on the inside line there with the 27, and that cost him. It's cost him even more because he's still stuck behind the 27. That's a teammate there at Joanna Atwood Motorsports that held up Quentin Moore, and it helped another of his teammates, though, James Qualls. Now move up into the 4th position. Destin Bolin still trying to go coast to coast and pick up his 3rd win on the season. He's now into 5th with Matt Haas. Moving into 6th, Kyle Matthews. Got held up behind Laura Chung. And that moves Turner to the lead, Evans to 2nd, and Matthews now back into a battle for 3rd with Qualls, Bolin, and Haas. Ryan Butcher. Oh, look out! Jack Dunner getting turned to the inside wall off the nose of Fitzwater, right back up in front of traffic, and he's going to get Charles Sanford. Caution's going to wave again. This is going to be the 4th yellow flag of the day. And Jack Dunnard, who was running inside the top 10, looked like he just got flat out dumped by the 66 as we race back to the caution flag. And by half a car length, it will be Jesse Turner. I believe that the timing of this yellow is fortuitous for all drivers involved because they are going to get to come to pit lane, and they should be able to make it the rest of the way if they get the tanks full of fuel. But let's not forget, too, that we've seen a couple of times this season drivers running out of fuel in the closing stages and having to make late race pit stops. We saw it at Darlington. We saw it in our All-Star race last week. So hopefully they make sure they get these tanks completely full of fuel just in case we do go green from here to the checkered flag. Well, there is Sanford, there is Dunnard on pit road. Big hits for both those drivers, and Fitzwater in the 66, our Indianapolis winner, was the one that turned the 88. I'd be very curious to see what led to that. Let's follow this potential final pit stop of the day. We'll focus on the 12 of Destin Bolin since he's got that number 1 pit stall. He'll be down near the pit road exit line. Jesse Turner was the leader when they hit pit road. This will undoubtedly be a DNF for both Jack Dunnard and Charles Sanford. Dunnard was on the lead lap. Sanford was 2 laps down, so we'll probably have about 21 drivers still on the lead lap as Turner, Evans, Matthews, they're going to be the top 3 off of pit road, and then Boland and Qualls, as Matt Haas had to check up there. So he'll be 6th on the upcoming restart. Let's go back and look at what happened. I wonder if this is one of those situations where we're going to have to take the camera all the way back to turn 4 to see if something ended up taking place. Oh, this it's like an argument over space when they caught the slower machine of Laura Chung. Watch this as Dunnard sees the lane to the inside. Fitzwater had a big run on him. Yeah, initially I said the 66 dumped him, but in all honesty, Fitzwater had a big run, and Dunnard had already had to slow up for Laura Chung, and he kind of turned down into Fitzwater's lane when Fitzwater already had the momentum. It's kind of the problem with the D-shaped front straightaway. A lot of movement, and it happens so quickly. Watch this again. Dunnard moves low. Fitzwater already was committed to that inside line. Boy, that's... Can't remember the last time I've seen a car hit the inside wall down there heading into turn 1. That's very rare. And then nowhere for Charles Sanford to be able to go. Want to see how quickly it happens? Let's go on board with the 0-3. The wreck takes place about half a straightaway up ahead of Charles Sanford here. Hurt him out of the throttle. Thought he was going to be able to avoid it. As the 88 slides down the track, there's just nowhere for Charles Sanford to be able to go. Charles started this race shotgun on the field. He was running in 21st, so he would have made his way at least halfway through the field up to this point. The All-Star race winner coming into tonight. A lot of eyes were on him to maybe get his first win of the season, running well in the points, 14th in overall standings, but it will be a DNF for him tonight, as it will be for Jack Dunnard. Now, Jack, former winner this season, so he would be in a playoff position. He was 19th in overall standings coming into tonight, 29 points ahead of the cut line. Be interesting to see, as he's going to be finishing 22nd tonight, if that gap between himself and that cut line might end up decreasing, and he be in a situation much like Kyle Matthews and Chris Dollerton were coming into this evening's race. Kyle Matthews is running in 3rd, so far so good for him in opening up the gap between him and that 30th in standings cut line. Destin Boland's running 4th. He was 26th, 11 points ahead of the cut line. So both those drivers, they're going to have a nice little cushion. Chris Dollerton, though, out of the race in 36, so he may drop below the cut line once again to start off this second half of the regular season. Daniel Voiles is out of the race, so he will stay below the cut line. And Joshua Osborne, he's still running, but he is the last car running in 21st. So I think he would also stay below the cut line. So at this point in time, still some good news for drivers trying to point their way in. The bad news is, you look up here at the front, you've got Jesse Turner, Rob Evans, James Qualls, Matt Haas, Ryan Butcher, Caleb Fogler, Quentin Moore, all up inside of the top 10. If a new driver goes to victory lane, that could be a playoff spot taken away from a driver to get in via the point standings. So we'll see what happens here as we are closing in on 20 laps to go. Should be 22 to go here when we get back green. Turner, Evans, Matthews, Bolin, and Qualls are the top 5, and we've still got those lap cars on the inside line, about 8-9 of them, that the race leaders will have to deal with. As a matter of fact, we've got 9 lap cars and 12 lead lap cars, so it almost looks like a double file restart there from the front all the way to the back, as Ali Liera is going to go in front of Jesse Turner. Allie's 2 laps down, so if she could catch a quick caution, she would then be only 1 lap down. Rob Evans sporting some rear end damage. That's appearing to kind of hinder him, as Kyle Matthews definitely made contact right front to left rear with Jesse Turner off of 4. They nearly wrecked, battling for the lead, but it will be Matthews edging ahead into turn 1. James Quall is going to fill in that hole in the inside line. He'll move into second as Matthews goes to throw a block on him. Might have also been trying to get by Ali Liera. Now he'll get pinned, though, and Qualls will look to take the lead. Ryan Butcher following in his tire tracks. Quentin Moore right there as well in the 89. Rick Johnson might have brushed the wall there off of turn 4. Looks like for the lead lap cars that are up to speed, looks like right now it'd be all 12 are actually up to speed. Back to Destin Bolin. Talk about Kyle Matthews trying to join Destin Bolin as a 2-time winner. Other drivers that would be in this lead group trying to do the same. Only 2 other ones. That'd be Nick Gunther in the 55 and Rick Johnson in the 93. Walls to the inside of Ali Liera, looking to put her a 2nd lap down. Nice arc there by the 78 of Ryan Butcher. He could have a big run out of turn 2, looking for the top spot. Look at him turn it low off of 2 down the back straightaway. He'll have a push via the draft here with the lineup behind him, Quentin Moore and Nick Gunther, but he had to check up. Qualls had the preferred outside line there through 3 and 4. Can he hold off Butcher? No, Butcher stays alongside of him to the line, and Butcher's going to lead that lap. 9th lap lead of the day for Ryan Butcher in the 78 car. Again, as mentioned here too, we're going to see these drivers a lot more aggressive here on the run to the checkers because fuel is no longer a concern. That last caution put these drivers in the window that when they came to pit road, they can make it the rest of the way. So now it's a case of you got what you got. You're either racing to the checkered flag or maybe the next caution. Nick Gunther for 2nd on Moore. Big run to the inside for the lead on Ryan Butcher, who really had to bail out of the throttle. He checked up that entire outside line. So Gunther will go to the front. Matthews into 2nd. He looks to maybe show the nose into 3 on Nick. Ooh, got right to that left rear quarter panel. Tried to get him squirrely. Nick Gunther wasn't going to have it. He checked him up through the center of the corner. And now Rick Johnson's going to move into the 3rd spot. Remember I said back around the halfway point, was really surprised we didn't see as much out of the 93 as we had since his win took place at Texas, another track similar in configuration to Charlotte. Now look where he is now, up in the podium. And Destin Bolin looking to do what I don't believe any driver has ever done. We've had a few 3-time winners in a single season here in the Duracell Cup Series, but none have gotten their 3 wins as soon in the season as Destin Bolin would if he's able to close this deal out and go coast to coast, pole to win. I'm hearing a car up ahead. Traffic is still going to be a concern. Remember, we had about 9 drivers on the inside line that were anywhere from 1 to 2 laps down. And I believe that car up ahead might be the 27 of Joshua Osborne. It is. Gunther's going to take him high. That's the right line to choose. He's He's going to drive away, at least for the moment. Kyle Matthews, where does he go? Well, he was going to go low, but Destin Bolin pinned him there behind the 27. And now Bolin will move into the runner-up spot. Moore will move into second. Butcher into third. Well, Moore moves to third, rather. Butcher into fourth, and Qualls will now move to fifth. So Kyle Matthews and Rick Johnson and Jesse Turner, they're going to have to try and claw their way back up to the front again. Laura Chung next up on the hit list for now race leader Nick Gunther. And, ooh, he wanted the top. Look at the run by Quentin Moore. Almost ran Nick Gunther over going into turn one as he was getting a big push from Ryan Butcher. It's Destin Bolin who's going to get held up on the top line. Matt Haas has now moved up into the fifth position, the most consistent driver this season. Highest average finish of 13th, and that's why he's the points leader coming into this race. Only he and William Hoer have 7 top 10s on the year. Next highest with 6 would be Zachary Fitzwater. Quentin Moore now looks to the bottom to take the race lead away. Yes, indeed, if Quentin Moore comes around and leads the lap, it'd be the first he's led tonight in that Buc-ee's Chevrolet. I mentioned that it was back-to-back years that Chevy won here at Charlotte, back-to-back years that Ford won at Charlotte. Toyota is the defending manufacturer, and they've got a couple of candidates up here inside the top 5, Ryan Butcher and Matt Haas. And Mazda has never won here before. Nick Gunther trying to continue to make history here in the Duracell Cup Series. Next time by will be 10 laps to go. Destin Bolin, Caleb Fogler trying to stay in touch there with that lead group. Appears to be some a little bit of a buckle on the hood of that number 28, but he appears to still be up to speed. Rick Johnson trying to use the lap machine of Ali Oliera to stay in touch. Rob Evans, Kyle Matthews, Jesse Turner, and Reese Banks, they all ended up having difficulty with traffic. They still have time to get up with this lead pack. If this pack gets checked up, then they certainly could. That's a teammate right there, Anthony McCrory, out of Fortnite Squad Racing, and he'll yield the bottom to Nick Gunther. So he's going to hold up that entire group, though, so that's going to be good news for about 7th place on back. Looks like Fogler caught back up. So too did Destin Bolin. Ryan Butcher got held up behind the 61. He gets in front of Rick Johnson, trying to hold him off. 4 cautions here tonight for 18 laps. We've had some long green flag laps here, though, and people tuned into the All-Star race weekend last week. Remember, Caleb Fogler got into the All-Star race by having the fastest lap in the All-Star Open, and then he also had the fastest lap in the All-Star race. Guess who's got the fastest lap here in the Coke 600? Caleb Fogler. But he hasn't taken a checkered flag yet here this weekend. James Qualls and Quentin Moore, teammates, move into second and third. Joanne Wood Atwin Motorsports looking for their second win on the season, following up Osborne's win at Pocono. Big run there on the top side for both Qualls and Matt Haas. Qualls is going to have a big run on Nick Gunther heading into the first corner. Does Gunther throw the block? He can't. James Qualls, big head of steam, and he'll go to the point. Got Dylan Pote, Keith Batson, and Joshua Osborne almost on the same straightaway as the leaders. It'll be 6 to go next time by. Will they encounter those cars before the end of this race? Ooh, Qualls got a little loose there. Was trying to give room to Matt Haas, and it actually worked out to his benefit. He'll keep the 8 in his rearview mirror, and that checked Matt Haas up, because here comes Nick Gunther to the inside for second. Kyle Matthews is trying to get up here with this group. Looks like Jesse Turner is going to lose touch. Rob Evans is going to lose touch. Kyle Matthews, he needs them to keep racing. He needs them to get stacked up at least one more time. Qualls again up on that high line there through 3 and 4. He loves that lane. It's been working for him the last couple of laps. And he's going to try and squeeze on the outside of his teammate. And he's going to turn him. Big hits. All 3 of the Joanne Atwood Motorsports cars involved. Matt Haas, Kyle Matthews, Reese Banks collected. Caution will wave. This may be the end of the race. Did they take the caution is the question. It appears that they did. They'll line up behind the pace car. I don't know if we'll get back green or not. That may be race over. And James Qualls was trying to go around his teammate in the 27. He got squeezed into the wall. And all three JAM Chevrolets were involved in that wreck on the front straightaway. Kyle Matthews was in it. Matt Haas, Reese Banks was in it. Do we get back green? Is it a one-lap shootout? I don't know. They took the caution with 5 to go. We may get back green, but we do have lap cars as well, so that'd be an extra lap of pacing calculated in. What happened here? Qualls was on that top side. That high line in 3 and 4 had worked the last 2 laps for him to hold off both Matt Haas and Nick Gunther. And watch this. Off of turn 4. Wants the 27 to give him the inside line. The 27 pushes up. Oh, and right there, big hits for the 8 of Matt Haas and the 89 of Quentin Moore. Kyle Matthews into the 89, then Reese Banks. Hard impact as well. McCrory's going to have to use the grass to get through. See if we can get another camera shot. Man, that is a heartbreak to have come this far, be less than 10 laps away from the checkers, and end up like this. Watch this again. Osborne, I don't think he knew which lane Qualls wanted. And right there, 27, 70, 89. All 3 of the teammates. Qualls and Quentin Moore were very much in the conversation for winning this race. So too was Matt Haas in the 8. As he got pummeled. Here's a look at him off of 4. He's going to get a shot from the 89 of Quentin Moore right there. Moore gets hit by the 09 of Kyle Matthews, and then there's Reese Banks, and Jesse Turner just squeaks through, as did Rob Evans. Well, it's taken on board. Let's go on board with the 8 of Matt Haas. I think he gets a pretty good look up ahead of the 70 car getting run out of room. There's the shot. Kyle Matthews into Moore, and then there is Reese Banks into the points leader, Matt Haas. He made 115 laps just to end up having it end that way and not be able to get to the checkers. Matthews, Haas, Moore, Banks, Qualls, all back in the garage area. That's going to move drivers like Miles, Norman, and Fitzwater, who were all a lap down, up into the top 10 in 8th, 9th, and 10th. Batson's going to move up to 11th. Aliliero will probably move up to 12th, Poteet to 13th, McCrory to 14th, and Chung to 15th here, even under pacing if this race ends under caution. Nick Gunther would love this race to end under yellow. Destin Bolin and company, they want to have another shot at this thing. They'd love the lights to go out this time by. If they do, we get a one-lap shootout, and they do. Well, the last time we had a shootout and Nick Gunther was out in front, it was at Sonoma. Nick Gunther ended up overdriving it through the S's. Benjamin Snyder got around him. The caution came out. Gunther was in second, but Benjamin Snyder had gotten hit with a penalty. He ended up having to serve it before the checkered flag, and Nick Gunther went on to pick up his second career victory and first for Mazda in the Duracell Cup Series. He is leading once again on a late race restart, but this time under the lights at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We've run 119 laps, the longest race of the season, just for it to come down to the final mile and a half. These are the players still in the conversation, as all of our 7 lead lap cars are going to be clear of lap traffic once the green flag flies. Nick Gunther is the leader. Destin Bolin looking for his 3rd win on the season is 2nd. Ryan Butcher looking to put the 78 in victory lane at Charlotte for the 2nd straight year. He's 3rd. Rick Johnson looking for his 2nd career win at 1.5 miles. He's 4th. Caleb Fogler looking for his 1st career win. Co-defending champ, he's 5th. Jesse Turner is in 6th, and Rob Evans is in 7th. Those are the drivers to settle it out for this checkered flag, the first of the second half of the regular season. Nick Gunther's Mazda gonna lead us through the restart zone. Green flag in the air. Gunther trying to check them up. Who makes the move? Bolin shows the nose. He looks to the inside. Gunther's gonna give it to him. Gunther couldn't block. Bolin caught him flat-footed. Destin Bolin goes to the lead. Ryan Butcher in the 78 right there, though. If Bolin makes a mistake, Ryan Butcher may be there to pounce. Into 3 and 4. Destin Bolin checks up a bit. Nick Gunther trying to battle back on the top side. Can you believe this rookie? Destin Bolin is going to win here tonight at Charlotte. His 3rd win of the season. His 2nd win in a row for points-paying races. This has got to be the best start for a rookie I've ever seen in Duracell Cup Series competition. Destin Bolin ends the first half of the regular season with a checkered flag at Chicagoland. He begins the second half of the regular season with a checkered flag here at Charlotte. And he continues to build up his case to be the #1 seed when the playoffs begin in another 12 weeks' time. What a move into turn 1. He kept Ryan Butcher behind him all the way through 3 and 4. And Young's Motorsports, they had that open entry at the start of the season. We knew Dylan Young was going to be in the 2. We knew RJ Bishop was going to be in the 98, but we didn't know who was going to be in that 3rd entry in the 12. They picked up rookie Destin Bolin, who nobody had any prior information of. And Destin is making his own legacy here in Duracell Cup Series competition, as he is now the only 3-time winner on the season, and he's done so, gotten all 3 wins within 5 weeks. From Dodge Motordrome to Chicagoland to Charlotte, and he gets the final crown jewel win here in Season 6. Ryan Butcher will bring it home in 2nd place, Nick Gunther in 3rd, Jesse Turner 4th, Caleb Fogler 5th, and Rick Johnson and Rob Evans, they were the survivors that managed to finish on the lead lap. Mentioned about them finishing a lap down but still getting top 10s. How about Benjamin Miles, dead last in points? That is his first top 10 of the season. Finally, all drivers have gotten a top 10. Zachary Fitzwater in 9th, and Michael Norman brings it home in 10th. 11th for Keith Batson, 12th, Ali Liera. Dylan Poteet, who was next to last in points, 41st in the standings. He gets 13th. Anthony McCurry in 14th. He was 37th in points. And 15th, last car running, was Laura Chung. Chung was 33rd in points coming into this race. As a matter of fact, as I'm looking right now of the drivers that finished this race, you had 31st, 32nd, 33rd, 37th, 41st, and 42nd in points that all finished this race. So you think that those teams didn't realize it's time to turn things around? I think they did. Take a look at the drivers that did not reach the conclusion. We had more drivers in the garage than we did on the racetrack at the conclusion of this one, after we were under the caution for 5 caution periods for 22 laps. And you could just visibly see them there. Not even going to run down them verbally. Some of the ones that stand out, though, would have to be, obviously, Matt Haas in 17th, points leader coming into this race. William Hoer was 2nd in points, DNFs. Nathan Ormond, 4th in points, DNF. James Qualls, 5th, DNF. Levi McIntyre, 7th, he DNFs. Those drivers right there were inside the top 10 in the point standings. And a couple of the ones that also stand out, drivers that needed good runs that were either around the cut line or just below it. Kyle Matthews, Chris Dollerton, they were the cut line. they didn't reach the conclusion. Daniel Voiles and Joshua Osborne, they were below the cut line, and they didn't reach the conclusion either. So things could look very different as far as our playoff standings grid when we see it next week, as opposed to what it looked like coming into tonight's race here from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Cannot wait to see what it looks like and continue these storylines here as we continue on the second half of the regular season, looking towards the playoffs. Next week, we're going super speedway racing once again. Another wild card race as these drivers will take to M&M's Super Speedway. I believe much like Coke Zero Super Speedway earlier on this year, it's going to be the first time that Super Speedway makes an appearance on the Duracell Cup Series schedule. So we'll keep an eye on some of the drivers that did well back at Coke Zero and see if they may be the ones to watch here next week. Of course, as well, we're going to be keeping our eyes on Destin Boland, who the correction is, it was 5 weeks that he has picked up the 3 wins, but 4 weeks as far as points paying races, and he's already a 3-time winner in Duracell Cup Series competition. Congratulations to him on the victory tonight. Thank you all for tuning into this rather lengthy race. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, part of the crew today. We showed you full feature results, and these are the point standings after this long one here under the lights at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in the Coke 600. We'll see you guys next week at the M&M's Super Speedway as we continue on the 6th season of the Duracell Cup Series. Until then, I've been Seth Cole. We'll be watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, Offline Racing at its best.